from here.
How many seals were broken? Was it just this one?
Just this one. And I we didn't get to this at the end because combat interrupted, or not interrupted, but like kind of took time for Cinnamon to repair the seal. But Cinnamon does make a comment after she's finished that the seal can be changed. Like now that it's back to its current form, this is like the I wouldn't say the master one, but I would say like all the seals, like how they work within each other. This is like the focal point, I would say. So changing how the seal works at here will send out a signal to the other seals and change how they work as well. A lot of Animal Planet going on today.
What do you mean by change how they work? Like, what about them?
So Cinnamon says that we could change how the seals interact with different groups. Okay, so there's a way that we can change the seal work to sort of how do I want to say it? Let me look how I put it, because I wrote this much more eloquent writer than I am a speaker. That's 100% sure. Okay, so we could change the seals in a way that would allow easier passage for extraplanar groups, whether it be Fae, Fiend, Celestial. We could change it in a way that allows for like a quicker reactive time, or a slower reactive time, based on allowing, like, the notice will still come. Basically, how the seals function is the seal acts as a quote unquote wall to keep extraplanar beings at bay.
Mhm.
However, it can be modified in a sense that would either allow for, before it starts working on the what would I say, like, and before it starts banishing and actively blocking. So it senses presence first, and then it either, at this current point, it just immediately blocks. Once it senses an extraplanar creature, it immediately locks down, no matter which one. However, it can be adjusted to the point where it could allow time for Fey creatures or Celestials or Fiends to, either on the far end of like auto banishing those creatures or attempting to auto banish them, all the way down to allowing them free passage.
Okay, the auto banishing sounds. Yeah, the auto banishing sounds good, but why would we want to give them free passage?
And doing it specifically, so Lunastrella has a decent relationship with the Fae that are in the woods. Okay. In the current climate, Lunastrella is a little weary about that connection because there seems to be problems in the forest. And right now, the people aren't smart enough or haven't figured out whether that is a threat coming into the forest or a threat coming from the forest. Does that make sense?
Yes. I don't know if the average person isn't sure if the threat is someone from outside coming in or if it's just the random, like the Fae itself.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Because once you get into the forest itself, Cinnamon kind of explains, and obviously she wouldn't use the terminology that I'm going to use, but it's sort of a Narnia situation. Okay, so the beginning of the forest is much like that lamppost in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And beyond that point, you will go into in the normal in normal D&D it would be called the Feywild. I just renamed it to Elder Time here based on the age of the population that's in there. However, obviously the forest has its own protection, so not everyone can walk in through these portals that are in here. But there are supposedly portals inside the forest that will allow you to travel to the Feywild. And the seal system is intelligent enough to know what kind of extraplanar creature is attempting to come to the city. However, obviously, being that magic is can be outsmarted, can be changed. There is the possibility that someone could mask their race long enough to get into the city past the barrier. That's the issue at hand, right? That Cinnamon explains to you guys.
Okay, so I'm definitely on board with the auto banishing demons bit. That sounds like a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm on board with that too.
Is it just demons that we're interested in changing the seal's reactivity towards, or other races as well?
What about Celestials?
So that's the question after all, right? Celestials and then obviously Fae.
Fae shouldn't be allowed free access because there are elements of the Fae that aren't so nice. You know, there's the whole rebellion going on.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not saying they should be auto banished, but free access would be foolish.
Agreed.
Question though is what to do with Celestials, because of the plan.
Flooding. Wait, which plan? I'm confused.
Well, how everyone's gonna excuse himself and the rest of his party from Cinnamon. You guys remember Fiona's plan to replace Good?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there will come a day where we'll probably be fighting against Celestials as well.
Sure, but how does it like this? This isn't really about us, right? Like this is about protecting this stupid city.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't these the hoity-toity we love Celestials people?
They are.
Hmm.
They have two. This is the mecca for two major gods. One being Cassandra, and the other one being Michael.
Mm. Well, if it's their holy city, so to speak.
Yes, on one hand, there might be it might be advantageous for us to not let Celestials through here in the future. But I feel like right now they're going to want that. They're going to want the ability for them to come through. So if we do that, we might be causing ourselves problems in the now.
Yeah, it would be very suspicious. I agree. So is that the consensus? Auto banish fiends, restrict Fae, let Celestials through.
Yeah, I think that's the play for now, at least.
Yeah.
So you welcome Cinnamon back over, I
Mhm.
assume.
Yeah, of course.
And you tell her, "Hey, we want to keep the um keep the same setup we currently have for the Fae, where they're detected, there's an alert that goes out, they can't gain access without sort of like an ambassador, if you want to call them that." And then Fiend now set off a big alarm and pretty much just knock out. Now it'll attempt to auto banish the fiends.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
It may prove prudent to station some sort of presence here so that this doesn't happen again.
I would agree. It probably is.
So, would you station some of your own group, or would you station some of, um, would you request that Lunastrella should probably station some of their own people here?
Probably
So
Lunastrella. Yeah.
that way the liability is on their shoulders should something happen.
Our job was literally just helping. We're only here because we wanted to get this contract off the ground. We're not looking to be their, their police force essentially.
Hmm.
Wanted to open our trade.
So after this, you guys head back to Lunastrella. Is that correct? Is there something else we're doing before that? Any
We asked.
further investigating here?
I would ask Cinnamon if there's anything else she thinks we need to do, but otherwise, yeah, let's get the hell out of here.
Cinnamon does mention that, you know, she'll petition for a group to be stationed here. She does recommend at some point that we make contact with the Fae that are in the forest, just so we know, just so with the events of the world unfolding, so we get a clear idea which side the majority of the group is on, right? Because there's a just like there's a hierarchy and a political structure within most of these other humanoid cities. There's also a political structure, a hierarchy in the Feywild as well. So she says not right now, but that should be on your radar, she says.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
So we head back to Lunastrella, and she takes you to the Grand Cleric. Now she says before she brings you before the Grand Cleric, she says, do we want to let the Grand Cleric know of the seal changes we've made?
Do you think it matters?
And she says, I don't. She's unsure whether or not it matters. Like maybe the fiend part to put some people at ease. She was like, but as far as keeping the same policy for the Fae or changing the policy for Celestials, like she doesn't know because the policy was before is that it blocked everyone, didn't auto banish anyone, but it blocked everyone.
That's,
So
that's the only thing we changed was the stuff for the demons. I'm so confused.
I thought we allowed automatic access for Celestials.
We were just not changing anything.
Okay, and that's fine as well. I got confused there. So then in that case, she says it would probably be beneficial, at least for the Queen's knowledge. Hey, we made the policy for fiends more restrictive, but that being the case, we should still station a guard because the seal, like the location for the seals, like that building itself, is outside of the spell work.
Sounds good to me.
So, she takes you before the Grand Clerk. The Grand Clerk says, is it all done? Are we safer now? Like, is everything in better shape?
Yes. The seal has been reset. We've fixed the seal. We eliminated the threat causing the problem. We made a few small changes to the seal just so that if demons do show up, it basically tends to auto banish them.
She says, good, like I can pass this on and this will make people feel more secure about the city, and about the security of the citizens. So this will improve morale. She's like, I'm glad you've done the work. Like you guys are free to we're open for business, more or less, is how she explains it.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So where do we go from here?
Is the question. So let me look at the map. Right, so we're done now in Lunastrella. Did we do what we needed to do in was it Cherry Meadow? Was the other city, right? Did we go and talk to them?
Yep.
Okay, I thought so, but I wasn't certain. So we were just sort of waiting on the stuff in our town to be built, which will be done in a couple days. Then we've got to build the stuff elsewhere. That none of that takes our constant like watching it. Let's look at my notes. We've got the slaver thing in like what 9 days. We've got the guild chip stuff in a few days. When is the vote? That's soon.
The vote is in 5 days.
Okay. Did the mech and the shell stuff? Our tower is done being upgraded. I don't remember. I think it is.
From like Cassandra's point of view?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's long done.
So I thought, but I'm looking at my old notes, so I was making sure.
Which was that you just said? Sorry.
Cassandra upgrading the tower.
Oh yeah.
Basically, let's see here. So as far as the tower goes, you have 3 workshops that are 5th level, like the highest possible level. So an alchemist workshop, a blacksmith smithy, and then a library. There's not a workshop that quote unquote needs to be built for but he is working on a dock, and I would consider that a workshop. Once it's built, it'll be it'll be 3rd level, so middle of the road. And then
Oric, you know the three workshops you just said? You said alchemists, to blacksmiths, and a what?
and a library.
Library, sorry. Yeah.
You
Sorry to butt in.
you don't have a sage to manage the library. I don't know that that's a pressing concern, but it is something I wanted to point it out. And Ogren doesn't need much of a shop. He has a 1st level shop where he keeps his tools, but beyond that, he's more of just he's doing outside work and bringing those materials to other places.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then I don't think we have anything immediately pressing at this point. Like, there's nothing we have. The only other thing on my list that was something we were working on was like acquiring powerful magical items. Dude hasn't set up shop yet, so he's about to set up shop. I don't remember the exact time frame on that.
So Gearfree does have a shop set up, and it's level 5.
Oh, we can go hunt down some stuff for that. We got 5 days to kill. We could go see what we need to start making stuff and go start hunting stuff down.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So the question is, what kind of Ooga Booga are we looking for?
We did go and acquire some materials, but I don't remember which item we were working on. Just that we acquired some stuff.
Let me pull it up. So we have some sand, some Nirvana sand. We have nether brick. We have 1 ingot of purgatory brick. We have a number of different gems. Let's see here.
Oops.
We don't technically have the ashes for the undead, but we could get them. For that higher level stuff, and we have some Fae we have some Fae blood that would work as a material. However, as it's Fiona's blood, the question is whether or not it has a better purpose than using it for a weapon, a single weapon, because it's not going to have the same effect in a weapon as on a weapon. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Beyond that, finding a big apparition, not apparition,
Aberration.
Yep. A big celestial, a big fiend, big giant.
Okay, so what were we actually crafting? Who remembers? Making a weapon for Pete, maybe?
It was either Pete or Aelin.
It was a weapon for Samuel or armor for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that it?
Yes,
Okay.
I
I
believe
think that's what we discussed. We spent a bit of time working it out, didn't we? I think.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember, and I didn't write it down because I'm a dum dum.
I've just, because we've not played for a week, I've glancing through back my notes, and my handwriting's even worse than I ever expected. Because it just looks like it's been written by a 7-year-old with broken fingers.
Well,
So I may have written that note down, but I would have no way of fucking reading it.
That's part of the reason why I just opened a Word document.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that in future. Started using OneNote a lot lately. It's fucking brilliant.
Is that which one is that?
Yeah, it's in Word, but it's like basically like a filing system, so you can like you can have loads of like tabs across it, and then you can have sections within the tabs.
Mm.
And it's really kind of good for. I'm using it to run to organize my other game,
Okay.
rather than spend any money on like World Anvil or anything. But yeah, it's really good. And I don't know why I'm not using it for this. I'm still using a broken pencil and a notepad and handwriting that I can't read. So I don't know why.
Habit, tradition.
Yeah, yeah.
it do be how it is sometimes.
Did you say habit or Doogie Howser?
Either I said that do be how it is sometimes.
Oh. Right, so are we doing new weapons then? Is that the idea?
I think
Oh.
so.
Or well, weapon for Samuel, armor for Aelin.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that
that's the
was
plan.
just what I pulled out of my brain, and then I was like, where would that note even be at? And then I remembered I had the thing written out. That was really articulate. Totally described absolutely everything. You guys aren't confused at all.
Not no.
What's confusion?
Why do butts?
Isn't it?
Thanks.
We've done all the get workers from Summertide stuff, haven't we?
Yeah.
That whole thing is boxed off, isn't it? So I can
Mhm.
just scrap that.
Okay, so what are we doing now?
We're gonna go try to get some materials to make Samuel's weapon. I just don't remember what we're actually making.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I started going back through my notes to see if I'd made any notes on it, and then I got a bit lost in like all my other notes. And inexplicably, in the middle of all my notes, I've got my account number and my sort code for my bank account written right in the middle of right in the middle of a list that otherwise says Jessica Slaves Guildship House of Champions. That account number, sort code. That's research NOS. So I don't know why that is.
Oh, you had to write it down somewhere.
Yeah, I don't recall. Yeah, I can't remember what we said when we because
What did you?
we were all working it. We were working off that table, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that? I can't
Do you
remember where.
date your notes?
No,
Well, then never mind.
no. Um, Can you remember what you were going to get armor wise?
Um, Dragon Carcass, Netherstone, one at the Aberration, and a Fire Opal. That was the entire list that I put together for that.
Yeah, where's the link for that?
It is
What's it?
in Discord. If you go to
Oh,
future plans, it's the very
sorry.
last one.
Future plans.
It's my catch-all.
Okay. I better drag that over here then. Meet thousands not hard. Whoa, that's from what's it?
Oh, I see you're in.
Hmm?
I keep it open when we run, so I saw someone pop in and it says anonymous raccoon. Anonymous raccoon.
What? Right, no, this isn't what I'm.
So the tab on the bottom
Yeah.
for
just a minute.
exotic materials.
I have a funny anecdote about raccoons.
Raccoon. Exotic materials. Go on.
Okay. So this took place last year when I was helping a couple friends of mine develop a world setting.
Hmm.
So they came up with various races, animal folk races. One of them was a raccoon folk race. And the story was that they were going to be nomadic, kind of like the Romani, which led to them being preyed on by Amazonians who were basically like the Romans,
Okay.
aka enslaving people and shit. And one of the quests you could do in the adventure involving the raccoon folk it involved you either helping or interfering with an Amazonian raiding party. Bless her Canadian heart for not really knowing this Americanism. Uh, guess guess what? Guess what my friend wanted to call the that quest?
What?
Coon hunt.
Oh no.
Oh my
Oh
god.
No.
She
No.
had no fucking idea, and it was so
Oh
goddamn
my
hilarious
god.
because everybody else in the call said, "Megan, no!" She was so confused. Like, what I do?
Ouch.
Dear, oh dear.
So when my family lived out in the middle of nowhere, we had a sliding glass door, and we would bring all of our normal pets inside at night and feed raccoons through a gap in the glass door, but we'd hold the food on our side, and you could pet the backs of their little paws, and when they grabbed the food, it's really soft hands.
And really
Sounds
sharp
lovely.
claws.
Yeah, but they never actually hurt us, so
Weird little claws.
yep. Not nearly as weird as Nug Feet.
What feet?
The Dragon Age thing. I've been replaying Inquisition.
What's your ward or what's your inquisitor?
Mm, what else than a knight enchanter or the wizard knight, whatever the fuck, mage knight. God damn it, I can't remember it. The one with the magic sword.
Oh yeah. So did you go with the elf or the human then?
A human, so I could seduce Cullen, because I really enjoy fucking with his brain like that. I'm a horrible person.
Cullen's like the saddest person to have out of all. His story is so sad in all 3 games.
I know.
Have you? Did you? Which one? One of the only like decisions that was hard for me back and forth was going. I was like, should I have him get off delirium or stay on it?
Always help him kick it. You know, like, withdrawals are a bitch and getting off drugs is horrible, but, like, he's made that decision already. So,
And of course, I always save Hawk and let Logain die because fuck him. I never
yeah.
forgave him after the first game.
No, God, no. Logain's a piece of shit.
But so back to this.
I'm just looking through these this spreadsheet.
Mhm.
And the idea is to start with one that's dormant, isn't it?
Yes.
Start with something dormant, and then it was pick a. Why did I not write any of this down? We went through all this, didn't we?
If you go down to the bottom underneath all
Ye-
the things, it gives you directions.
Yeah, choose a basic type of weapon or armor. Right, so anything, basically.
Yep.
Like as long as it fits with whatever.
Right.
So it could be a fucking short sword for Samuel, for all it matters.
Right.
Or a whip. Could you do this with a whip?
You could do this with a whip.
All right, well, a whip. And then it was pick. Why did I not write this down? Choose one from each of the silver, green, and blue categories. So I know we said there's no point doing fire damage. Juff, can you
Let me
remember any of the
open it,
logic we
one
went through on
second.
this? Because there's
I think
radiant,
it's
cold.
because of
Sorry,
the
go on.
fiends.
Yeah, I can't remember which damage we said. Because that dictated basically which green thing we chose.
It was either Force or Radiant. Those are the best 2 choices always, but I don't remember which one we chose.
Right. Well, on that, it'll have to be Nirvana Stone because that's radiant.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and we
Nirvana
went,
Sand.
and we
So
went and
I'm
got
going to write.
Sand.
Sorry?
We went and got Nirvana Sand already, so.
Yeah, I'm just writing it down because I've got no idea why I haven't. Right, so a blue one, then it's there's Aberration, Celestial Fae, Fiend, Giant, Humanoids, Monstrosity, or Undead. And this is to do +2 damage against. So did we say, what did we say, Fiend? That would make sense, wouldn't it? Fire Opal.
I'm trying to find the doc. I'm not finding it. Is it pinned somewhere in Discord?
So if you
Actually,
go
no.
in Discord to future plans,
It's pinned in there, I'm assuming. That's right here.
well, it's the very last one.
Yeah.
Very last entry.
Right, I don't know if it's that one actually. And then the silver one, which is silver.
Okay, so we didn't actually pick a gem, I don't think, because that was literally, we just have to buy it. We didn't worry about that. We were working on all the other stuff. We chose Nirvana Sand.
Right.
We met Miner Dude. We have to talk to Miner Dude and see if he actually acquired any materials, because we sent him off to do it and we don't know if he did.
Right. So but it was definitely Nirvana Standard, we'll say a whip.
Yes.
For me, right. So at least we're back where we would have been. I've written that down.
Yeah. Nirvana Sand with a whip. I believe we were looking for Death Bomb or Grave Pole. One of the I think we wanted to do one of the big undead things, one of the big aberration things.
Death bomb. Oh yeah. That sounds good. That death bomb one. Yeah. I didn't have any raccoon anecdotes anyway, to be honest. So that bought me some time. There used to be a cartoon called The Raccoons, which was brilliant when you were a kid. I don't know if it was. I think it was one of those American cartoons that failed in America, but I loved it.
Probably because it wasn't racist enough.
Oh well, yeah, they should have just called it The Coons.
Yeah, that would have got people's
And
attention.
that would have got people fired up. They shouldn't have done that, by the way. That was just was being deliberately provocative.
Okay, deal.
Um, so what next then?
Yep, that's the end question.
Well, first, okay, let's go see how Miner Dude is done mining stuff for us. Let's go see what he's up to.
Okay. Of course, I was out of Roll20 for so long that I had to reload. Let's go back to mech. So we hop through the portal. Go back to mech.
Okay.
Where is map? Oh, here it is.
Is it?
So we go back to mech. Go back to the tower. And at the tower, we we find Ogren in his little makeshift workshop, and you know he says hello. It's a little slurred, but it's not bad. And he says, what can I do for you?
How goes what we sent you out for?
He says, that he's found a suitable source of silver tungsten. It's fairly deep in the mountains. It's about a day journey there, day journey back. He says, he can bring back a small amount himself. He says, but it would probably be more prudent to have some sort of supply line or supply chain that would bring back more on a more regular basis. He says, but he did find a suitable source. And he shows you, the ore form of what he's brought back. And it's a large rock, probably about as large as your head. When he hands it to one of you, who decides to hold it?
Not a Rocksman.
Anyone want to hold the rock?
Okay.
Our experience with rocks so far is when you hold them, bad things happen. So I'm just not. They fall and kill people.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I guess I guess I will.
So you hold it, and like I said, it's about as big as your head, but it takes you 2 hands to hold this because the rock itself probably weighs upwards of 30 pounds. It's very dense, and has a shiny, like, exterior that has a slight blue tint to it. And he explains, like, I can bring back, roughly 100 pounds of this by myself back, a couple days at a time, right? And he says 100 pounds of this will melt down and get you to roughly each. It'll make 100 pounds of this would roughly make 2 to 3 ingots, depending on how pure it is that he actually mines. He says, there are some spots that are more pure than others, so the less impurities that are in them, the more of the actual material you get.
Okay, how many ingots do we actually need to make anything? I'm assuming he doesn't know this answer, but I'm assuming we would know.
So it takes 1 ingot for a weapon
Mhm.
and 2 ingots for armor.
Next question: how much of this actually is there? Like,
He kind of, rubs his beard a little bit, and he says, the source that I found, like you said, this is the easiest source, but he's pretty sure that there are more sources, more veins of it in this mountain that he's got into. The vein that he's in right now has roughly a ton.
so enough to make like 60 ingots, roughly.
Yeah.
My question is, we don't need that much of this for ourselves. We could maybe get the rest of it and sell it. So this could be a business venture as much as it is like materials for us. Like once we have enough for our own devices, we could just sell the rest.
He says, like in its raw form, silver tungsten sells for about 50 gold pieces per 25 pounds, right?
So
He
you-
says once in its refined form, once it's in ingot form, then each ingot sells for, depending on your seller, between 150 to 200 gold pieces per ingot.
yeah, we could literally just mine all this out and sell it. I'm assuming mining this is actually quite cheap. Well, compared to what the amount of money we have anyway.
He does warn you that once people know that we have a viable source of some, he says, he puts it as the rats will come.
Sure, but I mean, how many do we just how? Okay, first question: how many people would it take to mine this? Okay, how long is it going to take to mine all of it that's there?
He says to mine the whole project would probably take about 2 weeks. Just the
Okay.
mining aspect of it.
Sure.
To mine this vein dry.
My point was, if we just sent you up there with some workers to mine it all without telling anyone else what's up there, just that you're going to mine, and had you mine it all and then bring it back without, like bringing it back being like the end of the project.
Yeah, but the people who've mined it are going to know it's there, aren't they?
Sure, but they're sequestered up there at the mountain until we bring them back. So why does that matter?
I suppose so. So you're saying just all right? Okay.
Basically, just set up a plan, mine it all, get it all mined, and then bring the people who are mining it with them back.
So you keep obviously everyone. All right, okay. So everyone who's mining it would be on site. It's not like they'd be going home for tea and discussing it with their wives
Correct.
or husbands or partners or whatever in front of the kids. Yeah, I suppose so. And then what? After we've finished, just shoot them all? Oh no.
Oh, it'll be done. We don't need to shoot them. They did their job.
No. Yeah, okay. No firearms anyway, so that's rubbish.
Basically, we could just add a couple extra 1,000 gold from the sounds that we could add like an extra, I don't know,
Yeah.
1,000 gold or so for low investment costs, just free passive money.
Yeah.
And then what? Smelt it all into ingots and
Sell it.
start trickling those into the
Yep.
market.
Use it, keep some for ourselves. Use what we need. Turn the rest into profit. The American way. Pillage the land for our own personal gain.
What actually happens to an economy if you just flood it with that then?
The price goes down. It
Doesn't it?
drops.
That's what I'm going to say, yeah.
Not gonna flood it. I mean, there's about 80 ingots worth of material there, right? So and we're gonna use some of it.
Yeah, but what I mean is if we literally mine it, we need to keep practically all of it.
We would
Yeah.
keep.
We can effectively control the value of it then, can't we?
We don't. First off, we don't know how much of this material there is in existence, right? We have
Yeah, I
no
suppose so.
idea.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Operating under this assumption that 80 ingots is a ton, which it might not be. Like we don't know how much that is.
Mhm.
I mean, it's literally a ton of material melted down, but I mean, you're operating under the assumption that is a large quantity. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Well, we have someone who's an expert in metal. Why don't we just ask him?
Yeah, you muted.
Nope, I'm here. So, we go to Gerfried and ask him, and he says, you're right, it is a rare material. He says, but the rare is kind of a spectrum. He says, so there's probably several thousands of tons throughout the whole landscape. He says, well, it's usually in a place that's harder to get to, so that increases the rarity. But beyond that, only your smiths who are what would I say? Not master smiths, but the ones below that. Those two levels of smiths would be the only two who would be able to work with it, because it takes. You can't just melt it down and separate it. He says it's kind of a tricky material, as there's some magic from the land in it, which gives it its unique properties. So you have to you have to melt it down slowly. It takes, special tools, special experience. Most of your like upper echelon of aristocrats have the ability to find a blacksmith that could use this, that could work with this material. He says, but the vast majority of people do not. There might be one. There might be, he says, maybe between 10 to 20 smiths in the entire world, entire known world, that are capable of working with this.
Okay.
So he says, the rarity doesn't exactly come from how much material there is out there. The rarity comes from the difficulty in getting the material and the difficulty in purifying the material.
Understood.
Okay.
He also says, I've taken Ogren brought back what will boil down to about 2 ingots on its first run back and forth. And I have one of those here. and he shows you off to the side of his workshop. There's this large mass. He says that here's one of them, and he said he keeps that Ogren's keeping the other one for right now. But there's about enough that he's brought back for 2 as of right now.
Okay.
So if we mine it out, because we're still stuck on that decision of take what we need or mine it out and sell it, right?
I mean, in my mind, we just take what we need and then mine. We always mine it out and sell it. I don't know. I don't feel like there's any realistic reason to not do that.
I guess not.
If we don't take it and use it, somebody will likely end up taking it and using it against us.
Yeah. Also, the fact that we know where it is means that other people are going to know where it is. So as soon as we're done, someone else is going to. It's not like if we don't mine it, it's just going to get left there. Someone else is
Yeah.
going to come and take it.
Mhm.
Sure.
The questions we ask Ogren is how many men does he think he needs? Not just men, but you don't even.
So Ogren says, probably 20 or so men to do the mining itself, and then probably 10 carts or so to bring it back. So a horse to each cart. He says beyond that, like we could fit more into less carts, but there's the chance of the carts breaking from the weight and just the sheer density of this rock. And the other issue being is that it will take them longer if the carts are weighed down. So the 2-week, the travel time to bring it back being 1 day could stretch out into 3 days if we overload the carts.
Let's not overload the carts then.
Yeah.
Overloading cart's bad.
And Ogren says, it really doesn't take the most intelligent of people to do the mining work and to bring it back and forth. He says because there are natural fissures that occur when the metals are mixing, that it doesn't require a whole lot, it doesn't
It's not,
require a whole
not
lot.
super skilled work.
Yeah, it's not super skilled work. He says you just need big guys because
Can we not just get our,
does take
our
a lot.
other people to do it then? You know, the ones that we've just brought over to sort all this dock stuff out.
They're busy building the docks right now.
I know, but well, yeah, I suppose so. I feel like we can trust them.
You probably can, but they're also building like 3 different docks right now, so that's kind of.
I know.
I don't sound so disappointed about it.
Yeah, but who are we going to get to do this then?
Fine, we'll hire some people. That's not a big deal. I mean,
Well, no, I realise we'll hire some people. It's who though, isn't it? I don't know. I just feel like this is. I feel like this. I might be a bit wrong on this, but I just feel like this is a bit more sensitive because it's something of value. Like building docks is basically pissing about with a load of wood, isn't it? The worst thing that can happen is they drop some wood in the water, lose it, something, and it floats anyway.
I don't feel like this is that big a deal.
Yeah,
Mostly because
it might not be. Probably isn't.
because, well, like you said, it's we're oil barons who are going to mine for some silver, basically. Like, yes, it matters. It is valuable to the average people. We're not average people.
Yeah, I suppose.
Also, we could just send some soldiers disguised as miners for
True.
security.
To
Just
keep
in
their eye on
case.
them. That's a good idea.
Look, if I know anything about soldiers, like actual soldiers back in the day, they frequently did things like build roads and get stuck doing crap like this. So this is kind of par for the course.
Yeah, fair play.
So yeah,
Was that-
we'll go talk to some of our dudes and see if we have any we could just send. If not, we can hire some people.
Yeah.
I'm sure Yellowbeard knows people who want to work.
Want to or are willing to? Because I get the feeling it's more are willing to than want to.
Yeah, that's true.
Should we get someone like Yellowbeard to oversee it? It's only going to be a couple of weeks.
We got Algren to oversee it. We don't really need to send anyone else, I don't think.
Yeah, okay.
We got Yellowbeard overseeing a bunch of shit right now. He's dealing with the election crap, so I'd rather not send him away. We kind of
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
So as far as your own armies go, you have 4 cavalry units, 6 archer type units. Think of those as mages, not bow and arrow dudes. And 16 infantry units.
Within an infantry unit and a cavalry unit, the cavalry unit can take the carts. Infantry unit can do the defending. Well, what are our units currently doing?
Right now, they just do general policing work for
Sure.
you in the city.
So yeah, I feel like we send one unit of cavalry, one unit of infantrymen. We cover all our bases.
Yeah, I agree.
Infantrymen do the grunt work. Cavalrymen help do the grunt work and drag the carts. And they have horses already, so that's kind of covered.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, do you go and tell them to get on this now? Is this we're going to do this in a few days type thing?
If we get it started now, there's no reason to not. I think.
Yeah, I
None
think
that
we could.
comes to mind.
Yeah, I agree.
So, CL calls to Malekith and tells him, hey, we're going to have these infantry units and the cavalry unit go and go and help Ogren with this mining venture. Get the word out to the guys to report here, and then we can get them to move out tomorrow. It's I would say the mid-afternoon at this point. So leaving today, they won't make enough progress where they won't have to stop for the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll send them out tomorrow. That's fine.
So Malekith goes and starts sending out the word to the various groups.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Mhm.
Here's the word.
So now, what do we do?
Can we make a fresh list of what's on the table here? Because
Yeah, it seems like a good idea.
yeah, so that mining project now is taking 2 weeks. Is that right?
2 weeks with 2 days to travel, so 16 days
Right. So it's
altogether.
16 days total, which will leave us with the raw material. It doesn't mean it's been smithed. It just means it's been mined,
Correct.
so to speak, if smithed's a word.
Processed.
Okay. What else have we got?
Slave deal.
Go back. Right, I've got a list that says right, guild ship. What's everybody got written down as pending at the moment for us?
One moment.
Okay. The slave thing. Right, what I said, the slave thing.
We're building the docks. We have the
Yeah.
guild ship.
Docks.
There's
City council
yeah.
and
So
dock completion.
how long's
and
dock
mining
completion?
ventures. 3 days.
So that's 3 days. Right. The mining venture's 16 days. Guild ship, I've got written down. I've got that written down.
Isn't that like 24 days?
25.
25 days from now. Right. What did you just say? Council something or other?
The city council vote for mech.
City council vote 5. City council mech. City vote. Mech. And that, when's that happening?
In 5 days.
5 days. Okay.
And
So
remember,
that's
I was gonna
oops, go on.
say, at any point, remember we can skip forward to certain days if there's not
That's
things that you guys actually
Well,
want
that-
to, do day-to-day operations about.
that's what I was going to say. Like, we've got 3 days to the docks and 5 days to the city vote. Is there anything significant that we need to get done in that gap? In any of those gaps?
I don't think so.
Is there anything else we need to do with the? Well, we could go and try to get the last materials for the weapon, but the rest of the materials are 2 weeks out. So if you want to go try to get those now, it's like not necessary.
Yeah, I just kick that can down the road a little bit because what's easy to do in this situation, I feel, is that because there's a time to pass before we do the next thing. It's really easy for us to come up with stuff to do, and what we actually do is, like, we're trying to fill the time for the characters, but what we're actually doing is like extending the time for players. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, well, it's
Just-
also making sure we don't like we.
Oh no, I
once-
know. I realise it's so we don't leave loose ends, and then all of a sudden, oh shite, we've not got things done. But do you know what I mean? Like that, I think with the weapons, we can probably put that off till there's because we don't need to do anything till the. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
in my own mind, anyway.
It sounds reasonable to me.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean that sounds reasonable to me too, but it doesn't mean I like it.
It doesn't what? Sorry,
Doesn't mean he likes it.
you don't like it. Okay, what do you want to do next then?
Not sure, like I don't know that there's anything I want to do. I'm just saying I don't like not using all of our time. I guess is the problem here.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, what's best use of our time? I mean, we could put the weapon thing in place now if you want. Then
I don't know if we should. Like I don't know if it's worth our time, but man, do I want it to be?
And I mean, the other factor in that is, so how long is it going to, how long is it going to take to find one of these baddies who qualifies as a
Yeah.
red material? And then how long is it going to take to go get them, kill them, and then come back? Because it's definitely not going to be like, now we just, warp around to different cities like Merchants on Holiday. But it's not like these guys are going to be hiding in a city.
yeah, they're not going to be in the city square next to the portal.
You don't know that. You're not a doctor.
Well,
Right, though they probably are.
well, I mean, all right. Well, what are we? Do we need to identify targets?
I think you're right. I think we just move on. Like I think it's just one of those things where like I'm fighting my own terrible urges of just like min max everything all the time. Ah.
Yeah. The trouble is, though, we could get bogged down in admin for forever on stuff that ultimately won't actually progress us forwards in any meaningful sense in the game. I don't know. Without sounding a bit, I didn't mean that to sound so like fucking paperworky as it did. Then, do you know what I mean? I don't necessarily get an advantage from pissing about with that side of it, really. At the moment, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we do either. Look, I'm just saying if there's a queue, I want to get in the queue and follow the queue and get to the end of it. Like I know there's something at the end of it. You're British, you've got to understand. You need an orderly queue.
Just say that. I thought, yeah. Are you just trying to appeal to my?
No, but that's what.
That's my inherent nature.
The first time I ran a D&D campaign, I literally made my players wait in a queue.
Really?
Yes. Not like a physical queue, but in game there was like they were basically signing up to like join some like an adventuring company. Basically, like they hired adventurers to do various tasks, and there was
I can't believe it. As you said, a queue. Then there's a bit in the campaign I'm running at the moment where they've got to have an adventuring license.
Yeah.
Right. So they do loads of low-level shit, and then when they have to go to the town hall. And the only reason is to give me an excuse to get them into the town hall. Do you know what I mean? Because then that'll lead somewhere. So, and as you were saying that, then I thought, oh, put them in a queue. And then you said it was to do with an adventuring deal. So I'm basically going to copy half your campaign now.
Yeah, and then I made them all file paperwork, which they hated, but it was great for me. So yeah, it was the whole thing.
Cool.
So then, is a little bit of a time jump sound like the way we're leaning?
Yeah, I think we're leaving the last few days on the table.
So then the question becomes, how many days do we want to jump forward?
Well, the next thing is dock completion, isn't it?
Yep.
3 days. So we could all have 3 days out on the piss. And then, you know what out on the piss means, don't you?
I do.
Oh, good. Right. I just know if I just used a phrase that wasn't very American.
It's definitely not American, but it's pretty. I think that's pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
I've been watching a lot of Peaky Blinders, so I feel like I'm more up to date on the terms of on the phrases and general slang of British. Well, at
I
least
haven't watched that.
Early 19th century or early 20th century British.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. That.
My wife and I have been watching Kevin Can Fuck Himself. It's been interesting.
Watching what?
Kevin Can Fuck Himself.
No idea what that is.
It's a show that's on AMC/Amazon, but basically it's about there was a bunch of American sitcoms that had like husbands who were just terrible to their wives in like the late '90s, early
Yeah.
aughts, and it's basically making fun of those where like um, the husband is the sitcom character. So whenever the husband's on the screen, it has like the very '90s, very bright lights, very over the top, horrible husband
Yeah.
stuff. But then when he's not on the screen, it's showing like the wife and like how she copes with all this crazy stuff that's going on, and like how the other characters who aren't the
Oh, right.
husband perceive the world. It's like a dark comedy. It's very interesting. It's
I might
like
watch that.
a dark, I guess, dramedy. I don't know. It's very surreal to go from like the very over the top.
Yeah, it sounds like it's got a heavy satire sort of edge to it.
Yeah, it's pretty dark, but it's been good.
I might watch that. Yeah, I'd say basically we my what I would want to do is sort of chill out for the 3 days in inverted commas, and then go to the dock, basically wake up on the dock completion day, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree. We can check out what's going on with that.
And that will leave us 2 days to the city vote, 22 days to the guild ship, I think, and 13 days to the mining thing being completed.
And
Is
then
that-
some amount of days until the slavers.
6.
Oh, how many? Is that having deducted the 3?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I've just realised I've just written the entire list and then just had to correct it because we've jumped forward. Right. Okay. Cool.
So we skip ahead. The party, you know, meets with citizens, goes about their normal day-to-day business. Does managerial administrative work. Flows through the day, sees the people. And then we start on the beginning of the morning of the 7th. And one of Miles comes running up to the tower, in the morning, and he says, "Hey, we're putting the last dock together. You guys should come and see. We're gonna, have a little celebration afterwards. We're all very excited. This is coming together. It's our own project. It's we're very happy about completing work that is our own. The docks weren't set up by us in summertime. These are all set up by us. We had a game plan of how we could improve on the docks from there, given the situations and stuff. So he invites you to come down quite joyously, to come down and come down to the docks and see what's going on.
Yeah, sounds good.
So you go down to the docks, and there's quite a group of people here. A lot of people from in town, have come out. There's been a lot of buzz about these docks being built and whatnot, and several of the townspeople are really happy to see, these growing improvements to their town. So you come out and you come out to the scene where and about 6 other orcs are lifting in this last piece of the dock that they built, and they're lowering it into the ground, and yelling in Orcish out to them. At least one of you is
Speak Orcish.
fluent, right? Yeah.
I am.
So you hear him say, "Okay, men, this is the last push," and he's telling him, just like a construction work foreman, and he's like, "Okay, ease, and they're easing this last part of the dock in, and it, just falls right into place on the end of the water." And he said, "Okay, it's all good," and then you just hear this orc jubilant triumph from these workers cheering on. wipes his brow, and he comes out to you. He comes over to you guys, and he says, do you like the work we've done? And this dock is surprisingly modern for in comparison to most of the rest of the mech. The docks are all set in a concrete, and they're very stable. The wood's very new looking. It's not weathered. He's got set up for 4 different docks. And he's got a separate spot off just a little ways away from the dock where the boats, kind of like, I would say, like a boat barn, essentially. And he says, do you like the work that you've paid for?
It looks fantastic.
He says, in his very broken common, he says, I'm very proud of work that's been done. And he points over to the he points out to some of the bridges that you can see from the docks, and he says, we've also completed, I had enough extra men that we completed these drawbridge sort of additions to the bridges that were already here. So they're more stable, they're more secure. We have northern access, southern access, and western access as well. He says,
Yeah.
so, we'll be able to get these ships out on the water, and we can start building up trade. He says, I guess the question at the end of the day is, like, what kind of trade should we start bringing in, or do we work with merchants in specific places? How do you want us to move on to getting docks started in other places?
I feel,
What would you have us do?
I feel like getting the dock started in the other places is our next play, because that way we can actually move stuff through quickly.
True.
He says, that's good plan. We as of right now, if we went to somewhere else, we'd have to offload basically along a shoreline, and then people would have to bring carts down to the shore. We'd pull it up, and then very laborious process as it would stand right now outside of Mac. He says, so where would you like us to go to make these? Which dock would you like us to build next?
Why?
Or he says, I could split the guys. There'd be very few people to man the docks here.
It seems ill advised.
We could split the group and do both simultaneously.
So here's the question: which dock is more advantageous to having ready for the city? Like, Cherry Meadow is the one that does all the agricultural stuff, right?
Yes.
So I feel like for the city itself, like if we want to win brownie points with the locals, having access to better fruits and vegetables and food, it seems like it's better than having access to like religious goods off the rip.
He says, I don't disagree. Like, it's the people are going to be happier if we bring them something that they can immediately use versus more of a military religious focus.
Yeah, I think we build the docks in Cherry Meadow next, and then once that's done, we do the others.
Okay. He says, I'll keep half of the men here to protect the docks and sort of get the business aspect of this dock set up here, and I'll take half of the men with me, and we'll go start building in Cherry Meadow. It'll take us, with half the men, it'll take us about 4 days once we get to Cherry Meadow.
Sounds good.
He says, is there is there any other request that you'd have of us at the moment?
Nothing comes to mind. If anyone else has anything, feel free to speak up, but I can't think of anything.
Yeah, no, I can't think of anything either.
I cannot think of anything.
Okay.
Is John asleep?
I
Mm-hmm.
think so.
Mm.
It's this tradition around these parts.
Yeah.
It's either him or me.
When he wakes up, you can nod off like the other week.
He said, he says, would you rather we sail down to Cherry Meadow with the goods, or use your portal system to get the goods to Cherry Meadow and just build there?
Just use the portal. It's just better.
Yeah.
He says, of course, no problem. I'll get together my men and we'll head out here later this morning.
I feel like they should probably take the day and celebrate. They just finished, right? Like I feel like we should give them the day to like relax and chill. They just did something big and cool. Anyone else disagree?
No. Party.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
Basically, they just finished. Like let's let them have a party for the day, and then tomorrow they can get back to it. Like take the day off. You all just finished your big project.
And there's like a little tear that comes from the corner of his eye, and he says, thank you. Like we've never had people treat us so well. Like, he takes Harlan in this big, huge orc hug and like picks him off the ground. You're so wonderful. A couple of the other orcs throw Samuel up on his up on their shoulders. They're just so happy that they're treated well for once.
Live it up.
I'm tempted to say put me down or we'll have you flogged, but I don't think that would help matters.
And while this is going on, a messenger comes to you and delivers a letter. The seal on the back of the letter has Yellowbeard's bar symbol on the stamp.
Okay.
Open the letter.
Yeah.
You open the letter, and Yellowbeard says, hey, there's been a change in the lineup for who's front runner in the council vote. He's like, come to me at your earliest convenience.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Oh yeah, let's go see what's going on. I'm now worried.
Couldn't tell from your tone. So you guys head to the Pirate's Hook, and Yellowbeard calls to his bartender and has him watch the front, and then he brings a tray of beers with him and has you guys sit down. And he says, I assume you got my letter.
Yeah, we came with great haste.
He says, well, fortunately, this isn't a bad news meeting. He says, but it might change your plans based on what you're doing.
Okay.
He says, so the front runners, as of right now, are campaign to subtly influence which people are front runners. Has continued to keep me in the forefront. I'm the top candidate. He says below that, the other council members, the lineup has changed slightly. He says the one of the merchants for the aristocrat families that don't agree with us still remains a unfortunate, an unfortunate forerunner as well. He says a like a local a local blacksmith is that we had good tides with, still front runner. He says the son of one of the families that we disagree with is also still a front runner. He says, but the cousin of the families that represented us is bumped down into 6th place. He says, your dock foreman has moved up to 5th place. And he says, so we 5 would make the party instead. So there'd be one representative for the aristocrats, 3 for the working people, and then of course myself.
So that's not a problem for me, but is that a problem for the aristocrats who would be losing their place of power?
He says, the aristocrat family that supports us still has tentative support for us.
Okay.
He says, but I'm, long term, we'll just have to make sure that their trust remains with us.
Yeah, that makes
versus
sense.
them going to neutral. Ambivalent, I guess, would be more appropriate than neutral. He says, so I don't know what he says, like I said, I don't know if that changes your plans or anything or what's going on there. He says, but I did want to let you know, and especially because of the docks and because of the people seeing how treats his family and the other workers and how that's going on, the impact that they've already had to the changes in the city. Like, he's come up in the ranks really quickly.
Okay. And does Ur know about this? Like,
He says, I'm not 100% sure. He's been focused on the dock, so I don't know that he really knows.
well, let's, we should go talk to him and find out.
I'm a bit confused. So is he actually running for a seat?
Isn't necessarily. Basically, people have nominated him, even if he doesn't really like. He's basically the write-in candidate.
Exactly. That's what I would say. So the 5
He's a what candidate?
A write-in candidate.
Do you not have write-ins in the UK? Is that not a thing?
No.
Basically, in the US, so like they'll give you whoever the people you could vote for are. But then in most cases, there's a blank box that you could put anyone's name there, just in case these candidates. So that's basically him. Like all these other people are running, he's not. But because people like him so much, they're all like, we should put her on the board.
Yeah, but he wouldn't need to accept it, would he?
Not necessarily. It's probably in his best interest to accept it, but.
Is there anybody else that's already on who's it bothers me that. Don't know why.
British sensibilities?
No, I just mean like, so hang on, just explain to me the mechanics of this election then. So how many people have put themselves forward?
So there's the field has been narrowed, Yellowbeard explains, to to your major, and so there are 7 candidates that have applied in the paperwork and put in for put in for the vote. So they'll be listed on the official ballot, these 7 people. He says, but there's a growing sentiment. There's also a spot where people can write in their own candidate, and if the write-in candidates get enough votes, then they become, then they're offered that position.
Mm-hmm.
He says, so there's been a growing sentiment among the common folk that they will write in
Well,
even though he hasn't submitted
yeah,
his name for it.
but the vote is only for one position, isn't it? The
Five.
vote is
Five.
only for
Top
for
5 get
5
elected.
positions. So of these 7, there's 5.
Yeah.
Of the
So, okay. And the aristocrats who are backing our campaign effectively,
Yeah.
aren't happy about it.
They've just lost their spot. It's, not necessarily that they're unhappy, just people like more than they like
Yeah.
Rich Brat.
Well, do we not know anyone else who we could convince to pull out that would then effectively create an extra space?
So,
Do you know what I mean?
besides, yes, besides Yellowbeard, there are 3 candidates who lean towards you guys. One of them is no longer in the top 5.
Yeah.
Out of the 7. So one's Yellowbeard. We'll cut that down to 6 then. 3 of those 6 lean towards supporting you guys or supporting your efforts. 2 of the remaining 3 lean towards the old ways, is how I guess I would put it. And one of them, the remaining one, is just like a is someone put forward by religious groups in the area. And he's neutral.
Did BJ wake up? I heard him clear his throat.
I've been awake. Set my mic out.
You were snoring earlier, so
Yeah. Having a big surprise. Been having trouble sleeping. So my apologies.
I
No worries.
recommend black tar. That helps a lot of people sleep.
heroin?
Ever?
You're not gonna fool me. I come from the void. Sorry, Ohio.
No, the void was correct.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Ohio
say
is a
redacted.
lie. It doesn't exist.
Ohio doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's just it's a hoax.
I wish.
Ohio is an info hazard. That's why it doesn't exist.
So that's kind of the layout of where. So technically speaking, including this, and there will obviously be odd and ends write-in candidates. But
Yeah.
as far as realistic candidates go, there's 6 or 7 plus ERP.
So, do we need to do anything about this?
Yellowbeard
What's the
says,
feeling really between us?
Yellowbeard says there's not really anything you need to do, but this was just it seemed like fairly important information, so you want to make sure.
Yeah,
you
the only thing I can think to do is convince somebody who's sympathetic to us to say, right, the best thing you can do for us is to pull out, because then this guy will get the riding candidate will get their place. The aristocratic people will still get their place, so they'll stay on side, and that'll be better for the greater good. Do you know what I mean?
I think the only person sympathetic to us is the person who's in 6th. Everyone else is like just a commoner or
but
actively not sympathetic to it.
Yeah, but the person who's in 6th is the person who's backing we don't want to lose, isn't it?
Yes, but I'm saying there's no one who ahead of them who we can get to pull out, right? There's no one.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
I kind of did too.
Like, I know that we have a vested interest in how this turns out, but also,
I suppose so. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No worries. I don't know why I feel unnecessarily worried about this, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm worried about politics in real life that all of a sudden I'm fucking worried about this. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's latent sort of stress.
I can't
seeping into the
imagine
game.
there are any political concerns in Europe right now.
Oh, you're joking, aren't you? Even though I don't suppose you know about the Partygate scandal as it's currently known.
Not
You aware
quite
of that?
I'm aware. I'm not quite as deep
Yeah.
into the situation as I am into the Eastern
In it-
European situation.
Oh right. Oh yeah. I mean, internationally, there's that. Yeah. So we've got bumbling Boris Johnson doing Britain's fucking bit on that. So nothing. I mean, that something will happen there, but it's at the end of the day, it's at the other end of the world. It's not at the other end of the world, but you know what I mean. But internally, basically, whilst the Conservative Party were putting in all the lockdown rules and standing on podiums every day, telling the country over the last 2 years what we needed to do to sort of stave off COVID and fight. You know what I mean?
You're a brick
People haven't
by
been
the
able.
rules.
People haven't been able to go to. They've literally been having parties in Downing Street. And Boris Johnson has stood in the Houses of Parliament and sort of denied knowing about it. Then when he got found out that he was actually at some of the parties, he denied that he even knew they were parties. He said he thought they were work events. Then he did, and they're like, it's just turned into an absolute farce. So anyway, yeah, it's all. So and the worst part about it is because this is sort of taking up all the conversation politically. It means that none of the things that should be getting done are actually getting done. Which is bollocks. Yeah, and then there's the Ukraine thing, which is nice.
I don't think it's nice. I'll be honest.
It's not nice at all, really, but it's not nice.
I didn't think so.
No.
You guys aren't looking forward to another war on mainland Europe?
Well, I don't really know what'll come of it. To be honest, I don't think it'll come to that. But it is a bit worrying, if truth be told.
If we end up having a third world war, the death toll will be fucking catastrophic.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I don't think it'll. I don't think it'll come to that. Well, I mean, it won't come to World War III, but I don't think it'll. I don't think it'll come to a war. This. I don't think it will. But we'll see. It's a bit of a weird part of the world, that though, to be honest.
Yeah.
That little corner of Europe.
Of former bloc countries, yeah. So, if there's no action to take, or that you wish to take, for the city council event, the question is, what do we do with the rest of the day? Do we fast forward to the vote? You know,
We want to fight each other for the fun of it.
I think we get to the vote. That's 2 days off, isn't it?
It is.
11, 20, 4 days, and that's done. Cool. Does everyone else agree?
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
So, skip ahead 2 days. And in the city over the next 2 days, there's a lot of buzz about how great the new docks look, the prospect of having, a town not ran essentially by, and not the economy essentially ran by mercenary groups. It's very hopeful going into this event. Like people are seeing change. They're very happy about what's going on. They feel like they finally have a voice. Day of the vote, they people, all sorts of people are lined up for these polling stations, and just all sorts of people. The voting is restricted to those, to adults, and in this culture, adults are generally at 16. There are obviously some race matters where within the elven sections of the city, for example, and some of the other longer living races sections, that age group isn't it's not like the age range has changed. It's not like a 16-year-old elf couldn't go and vote. However, the elven community, and I'm just using them as an example, but dwarves would probably fall under this category as well. That they don't, there's been like a little bit of a leadership henpecking, saying, hey, like you can vote if you want, but within the community, it's kind of frowned upon until you're, a bit older. The initial morning of the polling, and obviously there's no differentiation. You don't have to be a landowner. You don't have to be, men and women can both vote, that sort of thing. As the polling goes on throughout the day, there are signs of tension among the pace that's taking at the polling places on the far west edge of town, where essentially in the kind of area where the Iron Fist used to operate. But other than that, there have been little to no issues at any of the other polling sites.
So what's happening at that polling site?
There have been reports that that there are, as it's a more, I would say, dangerous part of the city, there have been reports of some armed guards over there at poll sites, and just general appearance intimidation going on.
Okay. We're gonna go nip that in the bud.
So you head over. Is that correct? You guys want to head over to this polling site?
Yeah, I'd rather not have that going on.
You head over to this polling site, and having gone through town, you've seen several of the other polling sites, and the pace moves pretty quickly. Of people moving through. The line grows and wanes and grows and wanes. As people fall into the line, but there's a general quick pace to it. When you get to this polling site on the far west edge of town, it is the line is extremely long, and you hear complaints, just idle complaints from people in line as you guys are coming up, that some of these people have been standing in line for upwards of 4 or 5 hours.
Okay, that's not gonna fly. Let's figure out what's going on here. That's nonsensical.
So at the entrance to the polling site, you find 3 rather large warrior-looking men standing in front of the polling site, and as you get closer, you hear someone asking for proof of verification or proof of age, and just like general questioning that sounds a little.
All right, so I'm
I
just
wouldn't
gonna
say
bust in the door and be like,
fishy.
what the fuck are you doing? Who are you? What are you doing here?
Yep.
So the guys say, like we're just protecting the integrity.
Get
of
the fuck
voting
out.
here.
Go. Gone now. I will fucking put you in a whirlwind and fling you across the world. Get the fuck out of here.
So someone in the polling site hears these voices being raised and comes out, and you catch a glimpse of this guy coming out who looks to be a smaller, slightly older, kobold-looking man. And as soon as he sees you guys, he just bolts back into the polling site, and you
All
can
right.
hear him running back.
Sam, go get
towards the
him.
back.
Sam, go. Sam, go. Get him. Get
Yeah.
him.
Go after him.
So, Samuel, you catch up to him, and I assume you grab him in one way or another.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, whoa, sir! What's going on? What's the problem here?"
Why'd you run? I'm not there.
Has everyone followed me?
I'm assuming I'm still dealing with the guards, and you're in there on your own at the moment.
Right. Well, I'll say, right, you're coming outside. And I'll drag him outside.
And he resists you a bit, but not enough that's to cause like immediate alarm. It's not enough for you to pull a weapon, but you can see him trying to slow down your pace, asking questions, like, wait, I've got to go grab this, and trying to be evasive. And you bring out this kobold, and he's he's frustrated at this point. He says, what's all the ruckus? What's the meaning of this? What's going on?
Why, as soon as we showed up, did you run from us?
And he says, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't run from you.
Halbjorn's gonna slap him.
And he says, "Excuse me, sir. This is supposed to be a
Halbjorn's gonna
free
slap
voting."
him again.
He's like, "Are you trying to intimidate me into not allowing these people to vote?" And he's trying to he's pretty loud, but he's definitely
He's gonna slap
trying
him
to give the impression to the crowd of people out here that you guys are somehow interfering with the vote.
No, actually, I'm going to be very clear. So, no, exact opposite. We are here to make sure people get to vote. We had heard reports from others that they were being denied the right to vote. We came to see that there's guards here, not hired by anyone who works for the city, basically intimidating voters.
And
also, they saw us coming from within the city out here, not the other way around. And then Halbjorn's gonna slap him again.
And he says no one's being intimidated, no one's being told they can't vote. He was like, we've just had a few younger age group who have attempted to vote illegally, so we've just been on the watch for others who may try to enter, who either are not residents of the city or not of the legal age to vote. Like, we're just trying to make sure that everything is going as it should.
No, you're not. Why'd you run?
And he again says, but sir, I didn't run.
We saw you with our collective 10 eyes.
We ran as soon as we came in and said, "Hey, what are you doing here intimidating people?"
I mean, you can answer, sir. I could literally beat the answer out of you.
Probably not best to do it in front of everyone, though. Can we track him round the side?
I don't know. They've been standing here for hours. We should get them some refreshments and some snacks.
Actually, yeah,
Give 'em a show.
full transparency in our investigations. Let's kick the shit out of him
Yeah.
in front of everybody.
And so it's at this point that one of the guards brings over this orc, and you can tell from having been at the docks that this is one of Ur's men, and he says, "Look, I found another." This guard says, "Another foreigner not attempting to vote." He says,
First off, those foreigners live here, so they have every right to vote here. Second off, quit being a racist fuck. Jesus.
and he said, and they, the kobold says, he says, but city residence laws say that you have to be a citizen you have to have been a resident for 30 days in order to become a citizen.
They live here. They have every right to vote here. Buddy.
Who's appointed these guards anyway?
Yeah. Who brought you here?
Are you asking the guards or the kobold?
Both.
Yeah.
So the kobold says, I'm a citizen of here, like I was just a local, like this is my shop here that he points back to, and he says I just opened it up as a polling site as I was approached by the polling committee. Like I just opened this up as a good site for people. And he said these guards are in my employ.
Does this guy look familiar at all to us? What kind of shop is it?
It looks like a general shady merchant shop.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking. We just build a new polling place outside and be done with this and just get this one shut down because screw this guy. Not dealing with this.
Why don't we just have him come to the tower?
For the voters, well, how far are we? Okay, where is this polling place at? What part of the city?
Okay, if you're looking at the map, and this is again just representative, we're about over here.
Didn't see the ping. Can you ping again? Okay, it's for the far east. So we're near the path of the Iron Fist building. What is What is going on in the path of the Iron Fist building these days since they fled?
And the kobold says, I purchased this building after it was abandoned, from the city.
So he bought the building. Okay, I didn't realize he was in that building. We're near the building.
Yep.
All right. So what's his name? Let's say, what's your name? Where did you come from?
He says, I've been here for several months. It gives you, like a generic kobold name. One's not coming to me at the moment. We'll just call him George. Forrest.
Cotton Eye Joe. Oh.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
He says, like I had business in other towns, and they just weren't proving economically sustainable. So I came here, and my shop has done well ever since.
Who sold you the building?
And he names an aristocrat, that or an aristocrat family that has sided against you.
Right. Now, do they have the legal ability to actually sell him the building? Would we know whether they could actually legally just sell him a building?
So he's, says, send, one of you come with me, and I'll go grab the documents.
That doesn't answer my. Okay, stop. I don't care about your documents. That doesn't answer my question. I want to know if they actually have the legal. Them saying, "Oh, we sold you this and gave you some documents," is one thing. I'm saying legally, do they have the rights to do that? Because I don't know.
He says, they were the previous. Said they were the previous owners. Like the previous tenants of this building were renting it from the family, and so I took over the rental contract, and now I have bought it outright from them.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Can I beat it to death now?
No.
Just a little.
No, but what we can do is let's see if we can get a couple of the orcs to take like 15 minutes and throw up like a ramshackle polling place nearby, and we can man it ourselves. Get rid of the like basically like look, we can't have you more or less intimidating voters and making this take 12 hours. This needs to be a fast and swift process, not a 22 hours. I get to pick and choose who to vote because I'm a racist little kobold. Not doing it. Also, don't flee from the people in power around you. That looks stupid and shady, you freaking moron.
So a couple of the orcs, given your request, a couple of the orcs, find some nearby tinder, and essentially one of these, I would say like a side shop. A couple of the side shop owners come by, and they allow you to use the materials that they would use for their shop, to build this little polling place. And of course, the kobolds grumbling the whole time, and the guards are stoic, simple. And it takes about 15-20 minutes, and then they've pulled together this little spot that has privacy for like 3 stalls, for people to vote, which, despite the fact that the old Path of the Iron Fist building was significantly larger, there was only 1 spot inside, giving them privacy, a curtain, and one of these little side shop owners has a lockbox that he allows you guys to use to put the votes in and stuff like that. And once this gets all the way set up, the kobold loudly asks, like, how can we be sure our votes are going to count? Like, who are you guys, and what do you who do you think that you are, that you can just set up your own polling station?
Are outstanding members of the community. We have been here for months now, building up the city. We defeated the mind flayers who were running the tower. We removed the lich from the tower. We got rid of the vampire from the tower. We're the ones who built all the docks. We're the ones who negotiated trade between Cherry Meadow, Lunastrella, and us. We're the people who've been improving the city. And I think almost anyone who's been here for a while knows us and could speak highly of us. We could bring out Alistair to talk to us. We're the ones who got the Path of the Iron Fist, who are in here doing horrible things out of town. So if you have any more questions, you can feel free to talk to the rest of the town about us. I'm pretty sure most of them will vouch for us.
Good answer.
And he grumbles, but he goes away, and the lines starts going quick, with you guys manning the handing out these ballots and whatnot. And the kobold goes back to his shop, and let's have a perception check from everyone.
Happily.
Oh, perception. Where hell?
28.
11.
21.
It's my good one.
Aelin?
It's her turn to take a nap now.
Oh, no way. Said
She
that.
took your
I
advice.
only said that as a joke. I said earlier on, I said, oh, when John wakes up, you'll fall asleep. And she literally has.
Well, perfectly balanced.
I'm starting to think you're the same person. It's true. Because there was do you know what? How everybody, for a while, everybody thought Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson were the same person. Maybe you don't remember that, but that was like the 90s. But I think you and Lene are the same person. It's official.
Nah.
They sound very different.
Well,
So did
you
Janet
can do that with
Jackson and Michael Jackson.
Yeah, but you could do it with some sort of voice effect on Discord. I bet there's an upgrade or a plugin.
So, Halbjorn and Harlan, you guys notice that the kobold is moving. You can't exactly tell, but it looks like boxes or crates or something. He's moving some out of the out of his building, out the back door.
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna go see what's up with that.
yeah.
So you go and approach him, and he, like angrily says, what do you want now? Like what about my business has offended you now? He's
Open the
very
boxes, or I'll open your fucking skull. We tried being nice.
I tried being nice. I really wouldn't call what you've done tried being nice.
I didn't beat him to death.
So that's having basic human decency. That's not being nice.
He was obstructing democracy.
And he says, these crates are my personal goods, like you have no right to search them.
The crates
He was
or
like,
your
if
skull.
he was like, if you
It's one or
if
the other.
he
Yeah.
says if you wanna search my crates, go get an officer of the law and come back here with him to come search my crates. And he says,
Sure, just
I
wait
will let
right here, and we will go get Alistair right now.
Halbjorn's going to stay while Harlan does his thing.
I just turn into a bird. Like I'm gonna turn into a giant vulture, eye him, like give him the I'm a big enough bird that I could eat you whole look, and then I'm gonna go get Alistair.
Can you shit on him as well? Because there's nothing worse than getting shot on by a bird.
Maybe when I come back.
So Harlan, you fly to the Vanguard, and you find Alistair there, and he, sees you in your large bird form, and kind of looks for a second, stays out, and he knows that as this vulture is not super common, he's pretty sure that it's you. He's seen you done this before.
All right, so I motion at him with my neck and like follow me. Like I raise my wing and like make the come hither motion, and then I'm like, all right, we got to go do a thing. Come on.
And he follows you along. The whole process takes about half an hour or so. And Halbjorn, during this time, you just there are people are moving through the line quickly. From your position, you can see people moving through the line quickly. You can't see the guards that were with him. And let's have another perception check from you.
From everyone?
No, just from
Oh, sorry,
Halbjorn.
from Hellion.
Oh no, I had to leave. Fuck. What have I done?
Well, hang on. Checks, okay. And wisdom is perception, right?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, Halbjorn's going to use enhanced ability and give himself Owl's wisdom while he's palling about.
While you're watching him.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool beans.
So advantage.
Oh.
Fuck off.
So, Halbjorn, you've noticed that during this time period that the door has remained closed the entire time. Before, while you guys made this perception check, I would say over the course of 5 minutes or so, crates had come out. At least 2 sets of crates had come out during that same time period. But now no crates have come out, and now it's been half an hour by the time that Vulture, Harlan, and Alistair return. So keep that in mind.
Halbjorn's gonna ask the kobold about that. Why'd you stop?
He says,
Surely, if you're not doing anything wrong, you would have no issue bringing more crates out.
well, these are all the crates I needed. I don't need any more crates to come out right now.
Go to insight check them.
Okay.
And that's also wisdom? Sure is.
Yep.
All the good that does.
And from your perception, it sounds logical. I mean, he's got 6 or so crates out here already. He says, so, maybe he is done. Alistair comes back, and he comes over to you guys. Harlan, you're still in bird form.
For the moment.
And Alistair says, what's the issue here, Halbjorn? What's going on here? And he just asks you, and he looks out of the corner of his eye at this kobold, and then, goes back to speaking to you.
We have suspicions about this fellow. We need to search his crates. He's demanded an officer of the law.
Oh, we brought one.
Alistair says, what do you think is in the crates? What is this guy's profession? Give me a little. What's the? I'm not opposed to saying let's search the fucking crates. He says, but let me get all the facts straight before I
Right, so
agree to
basically,
back you on this.
all right, so basically, we showed up to this polling place after being told that people were struggling to vote here. That it was being very difficult. We found some guards who apparently were hired by this man to more or less intimidate the people voting. So we, as soon as we got here, he ran from us. Like that was his first thing to do was flee, like he had done something wrong. We're like, oh, that's bizarre. So we pulled him out. We talked to him, and eventually we set up another polling place. Put some of our people to watch it, made sure everything was legit. And then as soon as we started doing this, he starts secretly hiding, or what do I say? Not hiding, like sneakily pulling these crates out, like he's got something, like he's hiding something. We said, "Hey, what's going on?" And his first response to us is, "Oh, no, you don't get to look at my crates." And we're like, "Wait, what?"
And so Alistair, looks over to this kobold now, and as he does, he's got his double-bladed scimitar on his back, and he just puts one hand up on his shoulder, kind of by his head, very conspicuously looking. It'd be like someone showing you that they've got a gun in their belt, and he looks at the kobold and he says, "What's in the crates?" And Kobold says, "Are you asking me as a officer of the law, or are you asking me as a commoner?" And Alistair says, "As an officer of the law," and then with his other hand, still not leaving his one hand from his sword, he reaches into like a chest pocket that he's got under his armor, and he pulls out this badge, this copper badge that shows him, and he says, "And not just any officer of the law, but like leader of the city guard." And so he says again, "What's in the crates?" And the kobold says, "It's it's just some business documents. I need to start moving out here within the, and since you've disrupted my polling place," goes on, "since you've disrupted the flow of this democracy and all this," he says, "I've just
Shut
just
the
packing up my
absolute fuck
things."
up, Halbjorn's gonna say, and he's gonna start prying the lid off of one of the boxes.
And the kobold says, you can't allow him to do this. And Alistair takes this badge and shoves it into the side of his face, and he says, "Halbjorn, open the fucking boxes."
Oh yeah.
Alistair's pissed. That's unusual.
So Halbjorn, you open up the boxes, and you do indeed see documents inside. However, Halbjorn, I assume you pick up one of the documents?
Yeah.
These are not business documents.
People's votes.
These are people's votes.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, all right. So you're coming with us. Yeah, we're done with this.
And he the kobold says, where are you taking me? These are
Well,
like general polling we did before. What are you doing with me? And he's struggling along the whole way.
here's the thing: we're not going to do anything with you. We're going to put you in jail. We're going to get this all sorted out, and then we're going to have a trial once we know exactly what you've done. We're going to hold you accountable for the things that you've done, and we're going to let the people, the people whose, lives you just kind of interfered with, decide what to do with you. And I don't think they're going to like what you've done. Like, I don't think they're going to like it at all, honestly. So, you know,
And Alistair, pulls his sword from its sheath, and says it's magic word, action word, whatever. And it just gulfs into flames, and he's got to hold the kobold with one hand, like the back of the kobold's neck with one hand, the sword with the other, and he just like points it towards the kobold. Enough that he's not touching him, but it's very close. And he says, "Now move." And the kobold, like freezes up, I guess I would say, and he's become much less resistant. So Alistair says, to the rest of you, he says, check what's in the rest of these boxes. He says, I'm worried that there's something besides votes that's in these crates.
that's pretty
He
bad, but
says,
yeah.
I'll take him back to back to the jail myself. He's like, you're welcome. Someone's welcome to come with me. He was like, but I think I can handle one by themselves.
We could send Aelin with him.
I suppose, yeah. It's not. Ow! That's quite a good idea, actually.
So Aelin goes back with Alistair to the jail. You guys open the rest of the crates. There's 6 out here.
Okay.
Is that correct? You guys, that was a question.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys open the rest of the crates.
Mhm.
Yes.
So you open the rest of the crates. Out of the remaining 4 crates that have not been opened, 3 of the crates have 3 of the crates also have votes in them.
Of course they do.
The 4th crate, who opens it?
Halbjorn.
So
Can we not get Aelin back?
That's not nice.
No, okay. I know it's not. Sorry. Oh no, it's been recorded. Ah.
Halbjorn, why don't you roll a deck save for me?
All right.
So Halbjorn, as you open this last crate, you hear a string pull, and you manage to jump just far enough away that the crate, explodes,
Oh Jesus!
and it starts fire to the outside of the other 4 crates.
I'm gonna immediately cast Cone of Cold and put out the fire.
Okay.
You said it correctly as well. Congratulations.
Fuck off, Pete.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that presently.
You aren't wrong. You're an asshole, but you aren't wrong.
And you put out the fire immediately, and as soon as you put out this fire, then you see in the back by this door, there's a little tiny window on the door, and you see like a bright light all of a sudden come from inside
Oh
this building.
no. Oh god, they just set fire to the rest. Get in there, put it out.
So you break down the door. Anybody want to make the strength check to break down the door? Because when you try the handle, it's locked.
Samuel, would you like to try the strength check,
He's taking the piss out of me now.
or shall Halbjorn?
Oh no, go on, Samuel will. Strength check, because he's all muscle.
Oh yeah.
If there's
Or
anyone I think of,
athletics. If you have athletics, that's fine. You can use athletics.
it's also
instead.
a strength check, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it still is a strength check, but I just like to remind. You have
Yeah,
athletics, use it.
it makes no difference because I'm not proficient. Boom.
So Samuel busts down the doors, and you
I
see.
I like to think it literally smashed to pieces with that 19.
You run through the door, and it creates. It comes off its hinges, but as it falls down,
Yeah.
you're already through the door, and
Yeah.
in this door that's fallen down, there's a Samuel-sized hole. You've Lou Ferrigno
Cool.
through the door. And you see these 3 guards that were with him like tossing in papers into the fire, and they like look at you like, what the fuck? And they and they're like shoveling more into the fire real quick. Into this
Okay.
open fire that they have.
How far away are they?
I don't know, I'd say 15-20 feet.
I'm gonna cast Cone of Cold again. Just on hitting the guards in the process. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Non-lethally hitting them with Cone of Cold.
And they freeze into spot. Essentially, the fire. Fire's out, obviously, and they freeze into spot, and their faces are just, oh shit.
Remember when I said earlier I was going to push in a tornado and fling you across the world? I wasn't lying.
He's a druid. He can do it, and he will do it. I've seen it happen.
So you guys go over to the stacks of papers that they have, or you go over to where the fire was at? 'Cause I'm guessing you're going to investigate both, but let's see which one you look at first.
Let's look at
I
the
like to know
papers.
what they were burning.
Yeah, let's see what's burned.
So the remnants of what is burned, luckily, is not ballots. What you see are like shipping and receiving BOLs, bills of lading. From what you can make out of what's burned. And they're from various locations, various different businesses and things like that. But from what you can make out of the scraps that are left, all of these came from different businesses and quote unquote organizations from Summertide.
Okay.
The stack of complete papers, which I assume you look at next,
Mm-hmm.
are complete bills of ladings. None of this is ballots, thankfully. But all of them are from different different businesses, different organizations, all from Summertide, and they all have as the like person or contact as just ES. Every single one that you come across. And there must be 1,000 papers here in the stacks that they have.
Interesting. Now I gotta figure out who that person is.
there may be hints somewhere in the documents that we have available to each other, such as like character bios.
Man, you're gonna make me actually like Elias Shaw. Eli Shaw.
So, what do you guys do now?
We know that he worked for the Fist the entire time. This was never. It was always a front. We know that we knew the Fist is like heavily still embedded here. So he didn't buy it. He's just a Fist operative. All the guards are Fist guys. They obviously wanted, well, not obviously, but most likely wanted to have some control over who got elected here to make things better for themselves. That family probably works for the Fist or has some vested interest in the Fist. The Fist works for them, one of the three, and one of those things.
So, what do you guys do?
That is the question.
We should probably make sure that these ballots are the correct ones and not fakes.
Yeah, and we should see. I'm assuming there's not names on these ballots, so we can't even ask people if their votes counted. Like we don't.
So, do you want to inspect the ballots that, do you want to inspect the ballots and see who they voted for?
I don't care who they voted for. I want to know if there's names on them.
There are not names on the. There are names on the outside of these ballots. Like on the back side.
Sure.
Well, why would they shouldn't really? Well, it depends. They might.
Well, I guess here's the question. So I think what we do is we grab a random sample of people. Well, okay. Is there anyone we know who would have voted at this polling place?
I mean, no one specifically. Maybe some townspeople that you would have connected with, but no one specifically. The looking over the ballots, you notice that they're all there's a wide range of people that have voted for different people. So it's reasonably safe to assume that these are authentic ballots. As in, they're not all, this isn't a ballot stuffing amount. However, inside the building, there is one crate that's unopened that's fairly close to the door.
Oh, let's give it a look.
Inside this one, there are ballots. And these are all for the same person. The the merchant who has ties to the part of the aristocracy that does not support you guys. So, what's the play?
Good question. We know they were trying to stuff ballots. Like that is what we have just gathered. He works for the realistically works for the Iron Fist and was trying to stuff ballots. But
you see, here's the problem, right? Or here's a worry.
Mhm.
Like, do they? If they're rigging this thing, right?
we're trying
Now,
to.
yeah, but we're here at one polling station. We're here at one, or we went to one polling station because one polling station seemed to be dodgy,
Mhm.
right? That's not to say that any of the others weren't dodgy. It could just be that they were better at being dodgy, and not as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we might be fighting a losing battle here. Like this whole thing could be fucking rigged beyond our.
We can do is go look. Honestly, we can go check them out. See, ask.
I think that's what our next move should be. I think we need to find out as quickly as possible if any of the other polling stations look like they might be rigged. However we go about that.
Should we split up?
Oh,
Oh.
Split the party.
Yeah, that was a bad idea.
Split the party.
Well,
my job is whenever someone says split the party is to be the guy that just says no. My job.
You have outdone yourself.
What's the quickest way we could find out?
Just go to each polling place, see who's there, who's running.
I mean, realistically, if we go to any of them and find out that they're being rigged, it's kind of the chances of the next one we pick in being the only one that's being rigged, right?
Sure. So
are
then,
very
here's
slim.
a better idea. Let's have Alistair send some guys to one of them, and let's go to one of them ourselves. Let's just pick two.
Yeah.
Of them.
Yeah, and if but the chances of us picking one that's being rigged and it's the only other one that's being rigged are bollocks. If we find one that's being rigged, then we're safe to assume there's enough being rigged for us to have lost this election.
If
Yeah.
that's
There's
the
noth-
case,
and there's
then
nothing we can do
call
about it.
Off. We call it off and have
Yeah.
it again another day.
That might be the only way around this. But right now we need to find out.
And then we can twist that to work in our favor. Like, hey, look, we tried doing this, but people, came along and fucking ruined it.
Spoilt it for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for us, because we'll be the good guys.
Yeah. But will we look like the good guys?
Are we always the baddies?
Maybe we could get Rudy Giuliani to file a lawsuit after the fact. Because that fucking works, doesn't it? Oh, what was that other one called? Sidney Powell. Anyway, never mind. She wasn't mad as a box of frogs. Right, yeah. So can we just? I think that's the idea then. Send Alistair to one. And we go to another polling station.
So, the other. So, who lets Alistair know? Because he's not with you anymore. He and Aelin have taken the kobold to the jail.
Probably me as a bird is the fastest way there.
Yeah. So Albion and I'll go to a different one. We've inadvertently split the party.
My plan is to just let Alistair know and then come back to you. So
yeah.
Albion is going to take Samuel and throw him in the river the first chance he gets.
No, he's fucking not. No, he's not.
So the next
actually, when we walk to the polling station, Samuel's going to walk like 3 paces behind Albion to make sure he doesn't do any fucking stupid shit.
So the next polling station is here. It's only about a 10-minute walk. The polling station's moving along quickly. And you guys reach there. And as you get to as you get to the polling station, you recognize the person who's in charge of this polling station, and it is one of the it's the the blacksmith who is I wouldn't say like he's not leading, but he's leaning towards, he's supportive of your guys' cause,
Sure.
right? And he sees you guys approach, and he says, well, he sees Halbjorn and Samuel approaching. He says, "Hey guys, what's what's going on? Like the polling's going really well here. What can I help you guys do?"
We just discovered some voter fraud, and we're here to make sure it's not happening in other locations in the city.
He says, "Wow, that's that's shocking." He says, "Here, come. I'll show you where. I'll come and I'll show you where everything is here. Feel free to look around. Um, and he shows you the lockbox where the votes are being stored. And gives you a quick tour of the building and other things. To be totally transparent with you guys."
Okay.
Um,
And at the risk of being suspicious, can we do like? Can I? Does he seem to? Can I do a check to see if he seems to be on the level?
Sure, like an insight
Right.
check.
insight
Yeah.
check. I would also like to do that.
Insight away.
Insight.
There we go.
So Samuel, you can tell that he's being very authentic. He's being very transparent and showing you guys, hey, like I'm supporting this, like I'm going along.
Yeah.
Everything that he's showing you, it's not like he's not showing you any hidden parts. The he does mention, he shows you a room that is locked, but he says, this is where I've locked this for my own safety. I moved all my business documents in here. He's like, but I can unlock it if you guys want to look. Like he's like, I just wanted to keep, my personal effects here. Because this is, I would say, the business end of his shop. The back end of this building has the actual smithy and whatnot. This is, the front where people would buy the weapons and armor that he's made.
Sure.
Okay.
And during this point, Harlan, you have reached Alistair, and in one way or another communicated to him, hey, go check out another polling site. Harlan, you've probably returned at this point.
Hmm?
And you fly back and you get the lowdown from them. You're looking around. He says, feel free to open anything up or look around. Everything's on the level here, I assure you.
All right. So we're pretty happy with this then, I assume.
Yeah.
Nothing that you guys come across seems to look out of order.
All right.
He did offer to show us to the back room. Politely take him up on that.
Okay. So you open it up and you see you see receipts and quite a bit of money on hand. He's moved his money and stuff into here as well. Lots of business documents. Nothing that raises your eye.
All right. Well, everything seems to be in order. Thank you for your time.
He says, "No, thank you guys for protecting this vote."
So, assuming that Alistair doesn't find anything, are we going to just assume that it was just a rogue polling station?
Nope, we're gonna go to the next one.
We should just check them out just to make sure. I'm assuming they're all going to be above board with the solution of the one. But
If we've got time to check them all, yeah. Yeah. I think that. Check as many as we've got time for.
yep.
I mean, how many?
I was going to say, as we are running out of actual playtime, it is 1 o'clock Eastern now.
Oh yeah.
I fell asleep again.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Sorry, guys.
We were just at the point of trying to employ Rudy Giuliani to
Oh.
get the vote checked.
Oh,
we weren't
goody.
really. It did crop up. So basically, we were just discussing. We're gonna check the rest of the polling stations to see if it looks like any others have been compromised. I think that's more or less it, isn't it?
Yeah. That is where we are at. But I think we're basically out of time.